Okay, how's everybody doing? I've got some new cars and we're going to go through them. And so this is coming up to the tail end of January. So as you know, I've got a car of the month here to show everybody. This time I did not do a planned build. I just grabbed some random cars, some random bits, and I just slapped some things together to see how they'd go. And I think they turned out all right. And the car of the month, I'll get into that a little bit here, but I just wanted to go through these a little bit. And we'll start with this guy here. This guy started life as Batman, I think they're called Nanos. Little metal. They're like micro machines, but their bikes are still bigger. They're Hot Wheels scale for some reason. So I've got this little fella here. He's one part of a Union cavalry rider, the head off of a stalker. I made this gas drum thing here out of just some spare bits and wire, and this is a laser bike, so it's got a combat laser here, and you see if I can get the sun. In my room, in this workroom, the sun is directly behind me in the window, so sometimes you'll see my head, the shadow of my head come in. So I'm trying to keep my head out of the way here. But so yeah, it's a towel plasma rifle, and I'm not sure what sponsor I'll do with this guy, but he's basically like a wasteland superhero kind of idea. And so I'm thinking about calling him like the Desperado, or Captain Laser, or something like that. I haven't really decided yet, but he's got his cape, and he's got his helmet for safety. But that's kind of the idea. Is like I said, this guy's a guy who goes out riding the wrongs in the wasteland on his laser bike, and so could be a good Michigan build, I guess. Could call that a death ray on a bike. And that'd be some points investment there. But I kind of like just using it as a combat laser. And so you can see here better than the light. Now I got like a metallic green, and trying to get this thing to focus. Yeah, the pain in the butt to get this thing focused. And you see here, there's like a purple and green. Try to make it look like he's got laser pistols instead of regular revolvers. But and then of course he's got like the gas canister with his courage gas that he huffs when he's out there in 200 mile an hour chasing the bad guys. So then we of course got the actual chasing the bad guys vehicle, Highway Patrol. This is Chainsaw, and it's kind of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of thing, but with this big ass front bladed saw. And performance car, Harpoon. So basically, I imagine like this performance car kind of bullies the other buggies and bikes and stuff in the wasteland, and chases them down, and then harpoons them, and then drags them into the chainsaw, which I imagine is a very gruesome ending. And the dirt effect, I've been experimenting with trying some new ways of doing dirt, and I normally go with this dirt spatter, and then I usually highlight it over with this coffee latte. And so what I did differently this time was I actually went a burnt umber here, and then dry brushed with the dirt spatter, and then came back with this khaki color as a top layer, kind of give it that sandy wasteland look. It looks okay, I think, but I'm not quite so sure if it's the best way to do it, but that's what we did it. And so I left the wheels on this. This was a Johnny Lightning casting, but there was no reason to change the wheels because the wheels were already perfect for what I needed. And didn't change the police tampos or anything. I just added the flame transfer and off to the races pretty much. And you can see here I've got a box full of extra harpoons for it to be reloaded. And so I'm really happy with how this one turned out. You know, for a car that I didn't really paint the body, I just really painted, I did the weathering and of course, the harpoon at the top, and then the ram, and I did the interior. And funny story about this one was, you can see the driver's got his elbow and his shoulder on the door. And when I was putting this car together, I had cut the guy's arm off to basically put it in dry fit, the model and everything. Because normally when I put a figure in the car, I cut them off at the waist, and then I cut them through the shoulders, and usually will cut their buttocks off, or file it down, and then I'll file the seat down and try to basically get the model to sit in the seat. And so I got him set perfectly, and I could get the body on the car by kind of just wedging it like at a 45-degree angle and then kind of like sliding it over the model. But when I got him in place and I had him glued with the steering wheel and everything in his hand, I went to put the model together and glue it together, and I broke the arm and the steering wheel and then the steering column on the model off, and it was rattling around inside. So I spent the better half of a half hour, 15 minutes or so, fishing with tweezers inside a glued together Hot Wheels car. I couldn't get it back apart because I had glued it back together. And so I ended up eventually having to use tweezers and modeling picks to wedge the steering column back into a sort of where I think it's supposed to be at, and then re-glue the arm. And of course I had tore the paint job above the arm, so I had to repaint the arm and everything. So if you've ever watched Jurassic Park, I've been kind of calling this guy Mr. Anderson. Because of the arm. But anyway, I thought it was a funny little thing. And you can see where I was fighting it with super glue. I got super glue on the back window and ended up fogging it up. It was a little bit of a pain, but it still ended up looking like a really good car, and I'm really happy with it. So there's that one. And then we got this one here. This turned out to be a Rusty's build because I found a Porsche with a trailer hitch. And I don't think I have ever seen a Porsche with a trailer hitch. I'm not saying they don't exist, but kind of cool. And so I turned this into a Rusty's Bootlegger's performance car. And it's just kind of like, that redneck black sheep of the family that, everybody else has got the muscle cars and the stock cars and the raise hail, praise Dale kind of mentality. So I was like, I'll do something a little bit different here where I'll have this Rusty's Bootlegger who is still very much a country redneck with a Porsche, and he'll have the camo paint and it'll be rusted up, and there'll be armor and spikes, and uh, got the trailer back here with the machine gun at the back, and yeah, it's a pretty simple build, really. It was more or less this one here. The doors actually still work, so it was actually kind of a pain to get the doors to work again and not mess up the paint job. But we can open the doors here, and you can see inside, and you can see our fellas in here. And yeah, it's a little hard to see in there, but you can kind of get the idea where he's in his performance car, and he's ready to rumble. But yeah, I like how this one turned out. And of course, I cracked the windshield getting the car apart, so I ended up just keeping the windshield cracked because it fit the whole wasteland vibe. And we got this one here. I'm not sure if I'm gonna call it the Wiccan or the witchy woman or something witchy, but I had these Halloween decals and I've been itching to use them, and I just kind of like this vehicle, Tank Tracks minigun. This was going to be an Idris team vehicle. I might move it over to Maxine though, because Maxine likes to slide around a lot, and Tank Tracks give you the extra handling to get that done. But yeah, nitrous. I fell in love with this casting. It's called a mid-mill, and I was originally just going to put just some big tires on it and call it done, but I didn't have any big tires left that I really liked, and right now I haven't ran the 3D printer to make new ones, so in my impatience, I just decided to tear off the whole back end and tore up a tractor to make the tracks. And I was like, yeah, it kind of ended up looking pretty good. And definitely wasteland, and it's definitely kind of like a rat rod military mashup, and I still like how it turned out, and I really like how the decals really made it pop. But it's definitely a car I like. I still might call it the Wiccan, but yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not completely sure what I'm gonna call it just yet. But yeah, so that was that, and then of course I had to do another ambulance. And this one is a Tank Track Ram heavy machine gun ambulance, and this one is one I was made a little more beat up, a little more rusty, a little more dusty. The actual tank itself is a Halo tank, Scorpion, I think. I never played the game, so I don't know, but so it's combining that with a Ford ambulance, and so I got the guy here hanging out the door with the AK, and I'm thinking about running this as Idris as well, because it's got the big motor at the front, and then it's got these enormous freaking nitro bottles at the back. So, if you got to get to the hospital quick, and you got to go through rough terrain and wasteland bandits, I mean, it's a good ambulance to have. And of course, you got those little decals that says "Ride to Valhalla." So I guess, if you don't make it to the hospital, at least you're going someplace good. Always look for the silver linings and things. And yeah, I like this. How this turned out. This was another one that was kind of a pain in the butt to get back together, because I had to use Milliput to basically fill in a lot of the gaps, and you can see here where I had to basically wedged the Matchbox chassis in between the Scorpion's treads, and then there's a big hole in the bottom of both sides where I had to fill in with milliput, and had to fill in milliput from the insides here and the wheel wells, and then it still didn't want to go quite back together, so I had to file and sand, and oh, it was a pain. But I think it turned out pretty good. And then we've got this little fella, and he's a Michigan vehicle. This is based off the Hot Wheels roller toaster, and I've been going around singing, your love is like a roller toaster, baby, baby. And then annoying people with my terrible voice. So, but either be twin combat lasers or twin death rays, maybe. You can't, unfortunately, death rays don't stack, and I really wish they did, because I wanted to take a vehicle that was like just all death rays, but it doesn't quite work that way. But you can still, leverage the instantaneous death effect, I guess, with more shots. So, I'm running this as an ice cream truck, but it is this like little adorable thing, and I took it apart and I got it back together, and stay still. Yeah, so it can still make toast. But could say these fire together as an arc lightning projector, but I mean, I think it is what it is, and it's funny looking. I was originally gonna do a flamethrower on it, but I talked myself out of it just to do something different than what would be expected. And on these two, I like the paint scheme on these two. These are Ford Rancheros, and this one here is just Dollar Tree rockets and some 3D printed armor plating. But other than that, I didn't do much with it. Did a little bit of decaling and played with it. These two were the first ones I played with the dirt, the new dirt technique. So you can kind of see where I was trying to get the splash up on the doors and where mud would occur, but I like this one. I'm not quite sure what I think I'm gonna call this one, but this one I'm calling the Carolina Reaper because it's got the twin flamethrowers at the back, and I'm from Carolina, so yeah, I think it fits. I've been joking. I put these 3 skulls up here. I was originally going to write the names of Manny, Mo, and I think it's Larry from Pet Boys on there as a joke, but I couldn't really get my calligraphy is not that good enough to write names that small on the skulls. But I was so tempted to do that, and so turned out really well, and I'm happy with this one. Again, it was very simple. The flamethrowers here are 3D printed orc burnas. Not burnas. It's the Dreadnought Scorcho weapons. And I printed them actually out to use as Gaslands pieces because I don't play 40K hardly anymore. So actually, I haven't played 40K in almost a decade now. But yeah, I still like using their weapons and bits and stuff. And of course, I like the little flames down the side and everything. But that being said, this is my January car of the month build for Gaslands UK, and the theme was commuter vehicles. And I had this '89 Jeep Wagoneer, and so this is like a daily driver in the land of Gaslands more than an actual competitor. But I mean, they could compete if they wanted to. But to try and get like a more real world, earthy, down to earth feel with this one, I looked up the actual paint scheme codes for this model, and I found white, and I found this like dark burgundy, and I loved it. And like the wood grain paneling and everything, so I kept. I tried to re-emulate that, and I think this turned out really good. It's hard to see the family inside. There's a family of 4 in this vehicle. There's the father, the young teen who's back here with his like warden. He's actually got a black W on his chest. So it's, he's like from Warden High School, and he's got his arm in a sling. He's got a football, so he's probably playing some murder version of football in junior high. And then you got the older son who's getting his batting practice in. The only way you can get batting practice in the wasteland. And then you got the mother, who is, again, really hard to see because the glass on these Hot Wheels cars tends to not let the camera get in there. But there is the mom in the back there. And there is a television set in the back where the post is. It's a little hard to see here, but okay, there you go. You can kind of see the television set in the back. So, that's for guiding the rockets. And, so that's to get the tailgaters off of your back when, somebody's coming up from behind and they're not playing nice. You can remind them to keep a safe distance. And they were talking about what happens when someone takes your parking spot at work. Well, you might get in trouble if you blow up all of your coworkers' vehicles. So this is a somewhat kinder, gentler ram where it can come up underneath and scoop up somebody's car, and then you carry it, drop it, and then take the spot for yourself. And got this baseball bat logo here and some decals, and kind of wanted to make that drive home that the function is probably taking the kids to their sports practices all the time. So I think it'll end up looking pretty good. I'm really happy with how this little slugger here is, straddling the door, probably getting ready to take out somebody's mailbox as they go by, as a good Gaslands kid should. You got to start them young, learn how to hit moving objects. Well, be a moving object and hitting other objects. And then, of course, I did the little face here. Try to make it look like, the kids had painted something on the ram. And of course, you got a little bit of grass stuck there where it got, they went off-roading. And they haven't cleaned it out yet, so. The side rams are basically button clasps and bedazzled jewels. Nothing super fancy there. But you can kind of see the dead here. And, I did a darker skin tone because I was trying to make a more Latino looking family. That's why the skin's a little more of a darker reddish color. And I actually did the eyes on him, and because I tried to go a little extra detail here. Let's see, you can kind of see a little bit there. But I was trying to really put out some expression on them, but it's a little hard to see even on camera, unless you actually had the model in your hand. But yeah, I'm still very happy with it, and still did the mud and dust and everything. I didn't do too much dust and stuff on the spare tire because it's not going through the mud and joint, but overall, that's what I've worked on for January. I don't know what I'll be doing next. I don't know what I'll be doing in February, but I know I'll be doing whatever February car of the month the theme is. Um, might do some terrain. I've been itching to do terrain. So I hope y'all enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe, and always forgive me for saying every 30 seconds. I wish I had $1 for every time I said it. But there was another one. And so there's a second one. But like, share, subscribe. Feel free to comment. And as always, if you want to support me, please check out my Etsy store, King of Cats Crafts. I've got completed Gaslands cars and some Ral Partha D&D figures for sale, and buying those really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. So, thank you for your time. Take care and be safe. Goodbye.